Hello. Today, I want to talk about some different classifications of business and different tools that you can use that will grow your business. More in the context also of choosing the right tool to grow your business. This concerns three things we're talking about today is community. So if you want to build a community to advertise a product or service with the objective of advertising a product or service, you want to build a product and then market it, or you want to be an expert in a field. And kind of understanding these three things is the topic of today, which was spawned from a mastermind discussion about a dude named Chris who is teaching Lightroom and Photoshop to people and then selling it as a course. He's debating what his kind of direction is, thinking that courses are on the downturn, but also wanting to build a YouTube channel i.e. a community to be able to drive more people to his course. And this sparked a discussion in mastermind chat, which I want to kind of like go on. I wrote a bunch here too about it, but I want to kind of like talk about today because I think it can be helpful to a lot of people to think about. Okay, so the first thing to understand about teaching, okay, and teaching skills in particular, is that there are two different types of skills. There are soft skills, which are things that are more esoteric, like leadership or like time management, and then there are hard skills, and hard skills, not like hard as in difficulty, but like hard as in objective. Things like electrician, things like carpentry, right? Things like switching a light bulb. Okay. Whereas with a hard skill, if you're teaching a hard skill, you can say, okay, do it. And then the person does it and you know they have that skill, right? Like if I hire an electrician to fix something in my house and then they fix it, they have that skill, right? If I hire a consultant to teach me leadership, it's much more difficult to verify and vet that consultant because leadership is a much more esoteric concept. How do I know that they are good at teaching leadership? Well, have they led before, or have they studied the subject before? See, it's getting a lot more difficult thing. Like whereas like if somebody's going to fix my toilet or fix my shower, they just need to be able to do it. So we go off of like things like reviews or things like that. So what Chris here is teaching, as we find out later on when he starts to clarify what his course is Lightroom and Photoshop, which are hard skills. So Lightroom and Photoshop, video editing, things like that. These are skills that you literally can just do, right? And if you could do them, you can teach them. So he's debating, and a lot of people in this community are probably debating what types of marketing they should use in respect to the skills that they're teaching. And it mentions that he has tried pay-per-click to direct sales pages and says that it doesn't work because they want samples. They want me to demonstrate my value first. So I run a PPC to a landing page for an email sign up for a free course. Okay, so we're gonna talk about kind of like each one of these things. Okay, so we'll start with expertise because I think it'll set up the discussion really well. So expertise means you are actively attempting to become an expert in something. So in the realm of content creation, this is the vast majority of people. What even if you're just doing entertaining or playing games, you're trying to become an expert entertainer. A lot of people don't understand that. Actually, if there's one thing, if everyone listening to this understands that you are trying to become an expert entertainer, that one thing I just told you will help you more than anything else you hear. Like, because then you understand that the skill of entertaining is what you're trying to learn. So you need to learn things like pacing. You need to learn things about clear communication. You need to learn things about comedy. You need to learn things about telling stories in threes. You need to learn things about like good storytelling, great captivating storytelling. If you realize that every single content creator is trying to become an expert in something or trying to prove that they're an expert, whether it be entertaining or whether it be whatever, you're way ahead of the game. A lot of people don't realize that. So if you're actively attempting to become an expert in something, okay, you have to realize that when you are attempting to become an expert, you are the product. You the person, okay? So, for example, if I am trying to become an expert on something like content creation, I'm actually, but my product is a course. I don't have one product, I have two. One product is me, the person teaching you or trying to convince you that that I can teach you about content creation. And the second product is the actual course or whatever I'm trying to sell. So a lot of people make the mistake of trying to become an expert with the objective of pushing people towards a product. But the reality is that if you're going to try to become an expert on something and prove to people that you're an expert on something, you actually need, on a soft skill, okay, you need to actually sell yourself first, and then you accomplish the objective of selling a product if you want to call them to action on that. You are the actual product. You have to prove that. So that it comes down to a lot different kind of skill set than in soft skills than you would if you were selling hard skills. So you do not really need to prove your expertise if you are, or be an expert if you are an electrician, a carpenter, teaching Photoshop, or teaching Lightroom or something. And the reason for that is because the only thing that is needed is for that person to be convinced that you are able to teach them this thing, which can happen from user reviews. It can happen from product confirmation or testimonials. There are many different ways that we're going to discuss to actually build confidence in a hard skill in the product category. So next we're going to go to product category. Most people should just try to sell a product or service and not create a community or expertise around it. Okay, because these are separate things with separate objectives. Most people to sell a product or service successfully, they do not need a community to do it or a product to do it. We have been taught, I think, through content creation and through like entrepreneurs like Gary Vaynerchuk or whatever, that in order to build a business, you need to have a content aspect to it. Actually, I see a ton of people more and more saying this, that like your business has to incorporate content in some way. It absolutely doesn't. And like the vast majority of products are not sold with influencers. They're not sold with like a community that is built around that product. Like there's a community in like a soft sense. Like there's a Lexus community. There's a Toyota community. But it's not a community where it's like you can point to a single person within Toyota that leads these people to buy cars, right? Why do people buy Toyotas? Well, because it's an inexpensive option that provides reliability for a great price. And so that's why people buy it, because the product is good. So most of you're thinking like, I need to build a community so people buy my product. But actually, what you should do is just create a more kick-ass product at a more competitive price. And then ultimately, start thinking about what distribution channels can I use to get my kick-ass product out there, okay? So using the example of courses, right, I would almost never try to build a community around a product that is a course, especially for a hard skill. For a soft skill, something that is way harder to like, where like a justification is needed, like why should I trust you? Why are you an authority on this? That kind of thing makes more sense. So for the example I'll use for that, which probably a lot of people know, is Charisma on Command. This is essentially a 5.5 million subscriber YouTube channel that then points people towards their course. That's like what the whole thing is. Like if you go into any one of these videos and you click on it, like one of their first calls to action will be Charisma University, right? So in this instance, this is an example of someone building a community to teach a soft skill. And in soft skills, I think that makes sense. Just understand with the community aspect of it, know what you're getting into, right? Because you are really building a separate product / service for this, okay? You're literally building a totally separate thing. Your objective with the community is going to be different from your product. It's going to be different from expertise, right? This person is building a community around their individual expertise in building people up for Charisma specifically, right? And they're creating awesome free content and then saying there is like, right, he puts his face right on this, right? Like, I'm the guy that's going to teach you to be a more charismatic individual, a more successful individual, okay? So there's an enormous amount of work, a product in of itself, that goes into this YouTube channel, right? Hundreds and hundreds of videos that are well produced, okay? So if you are going to start building a community and your plan is to do it by creating content, but you really have a product, you really have something like just a product you want to sell, most of you would do better, learn and save way more money by going through distribution and marketing channels rather than trying to build a community because of the amount of work that's involved. This guy, for example, says that he can't direct PPC to sales pages, and it doesn't work for him. But I can provide him an example, dozens, hundreds of examples of successful courses. Just go anywhere on Udemy, go anywhere on any of these places where people are pointing people to landing pages and they are signing up directly for courses. Look at Elliot Hulse, look at Ramit Sethi, look at Dan Kennedy, look at, literally, I just have so many fucking examples of this, right? So this dude is wrong. He's just straight up wrong. What's happening is he's literally just not learning the distribution skill of writing good copy, having testimonials, building a proper channel, because he's not selling people on the page. He thinks that people need a free course to buy, but people are going to Udemy and they're buying courses right off the bat to learn hard skills, and they don't need any convincing of it, right? So I'm signed up for a course in. I'll just give you an example. This is a course that I'm signed up for right now. This for Adobe Premiere because I'm trying to learn how to become a better editor. This course right here is a Adobe Premiere Pro Masterclass, right? It's a hard skill. It's actually like literally what he's doing, like Lightroom type, like same product class. Why did I sign up for this course? Well, it was a bestseller on Udemy. It had great ratings. I have no idea who Phil Ebiner is, right? But I looked at the coursework. I looked at how many hours there are and how many resources there are. And then I looked at the reviews and I made a decision. Most people will buy products based on those decisions, right? If you go onto Amazon, do you care like who's selling it? Well, sometimes, like if it's like a supplement company and you really, most people don't even care about this, but like for me, if I'm buying like supplements or something, I then will like go onto Amazon, look at the reviews, like try to understand like if the company's like producing good stuff. And but again, like I'll look based on the product. Like I don't care about the brand name, but I tend to buy like Thorne products for like supplements or something like that because I know they're consistent with like their laboratories and such as that. But I will buy products based on the quality of the product, based on the reviews of the product, and based on like what the product is actually providing me for its price, which is the decision making that people have in the conversation of their head. So like if I'm trying to learn from you what what to do on a hard skill, all I need to know is that you teach and communicate this effectively, or that other people have verified that. So like therefore like distribution channels, like using existing websites for courses, using your own landing page, driving pay-per-click towards that landing page, doing advertising, having other influencers advertise your stuff. Like that's like more effective 99% of the time than actually like building like a community around it. Because like the amount of work you're going to have to do, and also like the problem with hard skills is that there's really a certain amount you can teach, right? Like if I'm not careful, let's say this dude built a YouTube channel, okay? And if I really wanted to, I could go out to YouTube channels and I could learn Premiere Pro, right? These are like as Chris notes in this mastermind chat, he says somewhere here that many of these skills are already available for free, right? That is an issue because what ends up happening there is just 1 second, sorry, I'm scheduling something. Okay, so sorry. So what ends up happening is I lost my train of thoughts. That's what happens when I don't edit things. Okay, so anyway, I want to keep giving value though. So if this person was to start a like YouTube channel, right? I don't remember what I was saying. Then at some point they're going to teach me the hard skill itself because there's just not that much to it. Like at some point they're going to teach it. Whereas like with a soft skill, like leadership, time management, content creation, things like that, there's essentially an infinite amount of stuff that you can talk about. Like I could like with charisma, right? A perfect example of this. This dude is never going to run out of this kind of content, and he's still going to have a great course that teaches things in addition to this that could be the exact same thing. There's just so much to talk about in the context of like being a human being that is charismatic. There's so many skills that are related to that, whether it be how you talk, whether it be there's so many soft skills within that skill. So if you're teaching something that's a hard skill, I would not be as inclined to provide tons of free resources. And if you look at people that are teaching hard skills, you'll see that that's like mostly not what they're doing. Most of the soft skills and most of the people that I had brought up, like let's take like Ramit Sethi, who's teaching people like how to become more wealthy or financial, right? Can put out a ton of free content. Someone like Elliot Hulse, who's like teaching people to become more fit or like more muscular, or Thomas De Lauer or whatever, like they can put out like more free content. As a hard skill, like technician type thing, you need to think more about the product itself, making it really great, making it very hard to say no to, and then hosted it on different distribution channels that are going to become more effective at just driving people to the sale. I think people get ahead of themselves and they think that they need to do a ton of work to sell a person, but it's actually like pretty easy to sell a person. If you get into the conversation in somebody's head and they have a need for your thing, so like most of the people that are trying to learn a hard skill, they've already made a decision that they are going to learn that skill. You don't need to sell them on that. So for example, if somebody is trying to learn like computer programming and they're trying to learn like C++ or something, they already have made a decision in their head that they're going to learn C++. Like some of them haven't, but like it's not your job to like go and sell them on the idea that they need to learn C++. Like it's actually not your job. Your job is to sell them that you are the person that's going to teach that. So when you teach something like C++, you just need to have a product that convinces them that you are the person to teach them this, right? So can that be an expertise? Sure. Like for example, me teaching a soft skill of content creation, marketing, advertising. The reason why I have built that expertise is two reasons, right? And to understand expertise, you have to understand the two reasons why people will actually come to you as an expert, okay? And I wrote them in the in the mastermind chat. So reason number one that people will trust you as an expert is you have insider information very few people have, okay? So in my case, I run an agency. I do this stuff every day. I have marketing content information that no one else has. Almost no one, except there are people that run agencies, and most of them don't create content. So I have insider information that very few people have that immediately makes me like someone worth listening to in this realm. In the exact same way that like if you're going to learn from an investor or something, that person is working at a hedge fund, that person has a ton of inside information on like how to invest, is talking to people on Wall Street every day. Like that's a person I'm going to trust more often than not to be able to give out their expertise. And the second reason is you have actually done and can show recently, right, the thing you're talking about, right? So how do I know that I'm qualified to teach about content creation? I've created content across multiple different platforms successfully. I've led tons of influencers to build their own brands, right, to millions and millions of followers. I can talk about marketing and advertising because I'm literally running a advertising agency where I run hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, definitely millions of dollars, but per year in advertising and marketing and ads. Like I'm doing this, right? So like a lot of experts, they try to be, you try to build an expertise in something, and you don't run these two things. People will sniff it out. And like maybe some people will buy your thing, or maybe some people will like trust you as an expert, but way too many of you are like starting, like you're trying to become an expert, and you haven't like put in the time and like really like actually done anything to deserve it because you don't like qualify for these two things. If you are trying to do that and you're in that category and you're listening to this, you should not be an expert. You should build a product, or you should build a community where it's documenting your journey. So for example, like remember at the beginning of this video, I said that if you are a content creator and your expertise is as an entertainer, you're trying to become an expert entertainer, the only way to actually become an expert entertainer is to consistently put in the work to entertain and keep trying. And in that journey, you'll build a community, right? In that journey, you'll build an expertise. It's also possible to admit that you're not an expert, document the journey to becoming an expert, and then that itself accomplishes expertise at some point. That's the kind of fake it till you make it type idea that works pretty well. And I've seen a lot of people do, and that's fine too. But you just have to be aware of like what you're actually trying to do, right? Most people, though, they just underestimate the power and distribution of a product. So if I were looking to build like a course and teach like a hard skill, right, the number one thing that I would do is I would have a landing page that had testimonials, that had like effective calls to action. I would learn how to copyright. I would learn that skill of like building that. And then the second thing I would do is I would look at distribution channels. I'd look at things like Udemy. I would look at things like Masterclass. I would look at Amazon where you can like sell courses. I would look at different. I like put my distribution in as many places as possible, and I would focus on the act of marketing that product. Where like so, and here's like another like this is like another example, like the obvious example, right? Like I run a restaurant or something. I'm not going to try to build a community around my restaurant. You'd be surprised how many people do this. Like they're just going to try to build like a social media following around their like local restaurant. Nobody cares, right? Like I'm going to make the product really kick-ass, the food really good, and then I'm going to go on Instagram, that's a distribution channel for restaurants. I'm going to go on Google, that's a distribution channel for restaurants. I'm going to look at ways to market that and try to sell that product itself rather than do all of these secondary and tertiary things. I'm not going to become an expert chef. But if my objective is becoming Gordon Ramsay and I want to be known worldwide as one of the best chefs, then for him, his restaurant line, Hell's Kitchen, is secondary because the primary thing is his product, which is himself as an expert. Then you have to go through a different train of thought. That's when YouTube becomes useful. That's when top of funnel stuff like TikTok becomes useful. But that's not true for a lot of you that are trying to build products and trying to build services. For people that are trying to build products and services, the distribution channels matter a lot more than funnel-based marketing. Funnel-based marketing means a customer starts at the top and then goes down your funnel to buy. But for a product, you just have to convince people that the product is good and that the price is right for that product. And then they buy it. They don't need to know you, okay? So so the objective of this is like take the time to really think about what you want to do. If your objective is to just like make $10,000, $15,000, $150,000 a month selling products, and you want to sell a product like a course or like something where you like teach a hard skill, like you probably need to be thinking about distribution channels more than you need to be thinking about funnel marketing. But if your objective is to build a community, then you really need to think about funnel marketing, and then you have to go through a lot of the questions that like we ask ourselves in these videos and like on this Patreon on some of the things that we wonder about, right? You have to start to ask yourself like, okay, like, well, do I need to do it on YouTube? Do I need to do it on Twitch? Do I need to do it on Twitter? Like, where is this community going to live? Is it on Discord? Is it on a forum? And then if you're trying to become an expert, right, that's separate from building a community too, because then you're trying to become a trusted source of information. You need to have these two things locked down, and then you can start moving forward. The vast majority of people have got this stuff confused, and that's why we made this video. We made this video because I want people to understand the differences between these three different types of marketing and these three different types of things, and then plan their business out accordingly to which one fits them. Okay? So that's all I'll talk about today. I think it's a good introduction to this subject. Let me know what you think.